We're going to look at example 8 in your section 3.2 notes. We are given that the tangent of alpha is 24/7 and we know alpha is in quadrant 1, so we're going to go ahead and draw that. Okay, so quadrant 1. Since we have tangent, we know the opposite side is 24 and the adjacent side is 7. Okay, so we're definitely going to need to find this hypotenuse, so I'm just going to call it x. All right, so doing that, I'm going to have 7 squared or 49 plus 24 squared, which ends up being 576 is equal to x squared. So adding those together, we end up getting 625. And when we take the square root, we get that x is 25. So we've got that filled in. Okay, we're also given in the problem that the sign of beta, and beta in this case is in quadrant 3. So go ahead and make the triangle for beta. And we have the sign is -8/17. So we know the negative was going to be the opposite side. The hypotenuse will end up being 17. And we need to still find the adjacent side. So we're going to have y squared plus -8 squared is 64. And then squaring 17 is 289. Okay, go ahead and subtract that 64 over. We'll get 225. Now when we take the square root, we got to be careful. So this time, since y is the negative x-axis right here, we're going to want the y value to be -15. All right, now we're going to use all that information to help us out with parts A through C. So I went ahead and copied down the different identities that we've learned this section for the sum of sine, the sum of cosine, and then the difference for the tangent. So I'm going to start here in part A. I want to plug in the different values from using my picture. So, you know, the sine of alpha is going to be opposite over hypotenuse. So we're going to have 24 over 25. Okay, the cosine of beta is adjacent over hypotenuse, so we're going to multiply by -15/17. Okay, cosine of alpha is going to be 7 over 25. And then the sine of beta, that one was actually given to us as -8 over 17. All right, so we're going to have a common denominator for sure. Let's go ahead and multiply the 25 and the 17. We will get 425 there. Okay, multiplying these two values together, we get -360. All right, the other side, multiplying the 7 and the -8 together, we get -56. And then we add the numerators and see if we can reduce, and we can't here. Okay, so our final answer is -416 over the 425. All right, so for part B, we have the cosine addition identity. This is the one where it starts with the cosines, switches the sign rather, and then ends with the sine of each angle. All right, so plugging in here, the cosine of alpha is 7 over 25. The cosine of beta is going to be the -15 over 17. And then sine alpha we see again is 24 over 25. And then the sine of beta is -8 over 17. Okay, so once again, doing a little arithmetic, we're going to get -105 over our 425. Here we'll have a negative and negative, so it's going to be positive 192 when we multiply the 24 and the 8 all over the 425. Okay, keeping that denominator, go ahead and take 105 off of that 192, and we end up with 87 over the 425. All right, part C. So this is a little bit more complicated just because we're plugging fractions into fractions, so we're going to have to take care of that. For the tangent of alpha, that's the one we were given as 24/7. Now for the tangent of beta, we're going to have -8 over -15, which actually ends up being a positive 8 over 15. Okay, we have the negative sign just from copying down that middle. All right, then we're gonna have 1 plus multiplying those together, 24/7 times the 8/15. All right, so before we go ahead and work on this too much further, let's go ahead and just do this little simplification right here. So we have 24/7 minus 8/15 all over 1 plus 24 times 8 is 192 all over the 105. Okay, so we really need to clear out all of the fraction bars except for this main one. An easy way to do that is to multiply by the 105. That will clear out the 3 that are there. We just can't forget to multiply everything out by 105. Okay, so when I do this, 105 divided by 7 is going to leave me with the 15 next to my 24. 105 divided by 15 is going to leave me with 7 next to my 8. Those fractions are cleared. Don't forget to multiply the 105 times 1. I've got 105 there. And then probably the nicest one is this cancels and just leaves me with 192. All right, so a little bit of multiplication. This part is 360. Okay, this part is 56 right here. So when I take 360 minus the 56, I end up with 304. And then when I add the terms and the denominator, I get 297. And that does it for example 8.